Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's 7 p.m. on this Wednesday, the 14th of May, 2025. I would like to call the open meeting of the West Parry Sound Recreation and Culture Center Board to order at 7 o'clock. Item 1.1 on our agenda is additions to the open agenda. Are there any items that members would like added to this agenda for this evening? Seeing none, may I have an approval, a mover and a seconder, please, for the approval of the agenda, that the agenda for May 14th, 2025 West Parry Sound Recreation and Culture Center Board is hereby approved as circulated. Moved by Councillor Lundy, seconded by Councillor Dubrow. All in favor? Opposed, if any, and that's carried. Thank you very much. Item 1.3 is the declaration of pecuniary interest. Are there any pecuniary interests to declare this evening? Seeing none, we'll move on to item 1.4, which is the approval of the minutes. May I have a mover and a seconder that the minutes of the April 9th, 2025 regular meeting of the West Parry Sound Recreation and Culture Center Board are hereby approved as circulated. Moved by Mayor McGarvey, seconded by Councillor Lundy. Any comments, errors, or omissions? All in favor? Opposed, if any? That is carried. Thank you very much. I don't believe that we have any delegations this evening. Thank you, Ms. Johnson. Item 3 is business and 3.1 is the chair's report. If you'll permit me or indulge me, I just have a few comments to make. As this is my last meeting as the inaugural non-political, non-voting chair of the West Parry Sound Recreation and Culture Center, I would like to thank you all most sincerely for the tremendous honor of serving the board and our community in this capacity. I very much appreciate the support of our most capable and dedicated team of Chief Administrative Officers, our Treasurer, Ms. Phillips, our fundraising team, our Vice Chair, Mayor McGarvey, and especially Recording Clerk, Ms. Johnson, for her patience and unwavering support. As will be shared later in this meeting, the construction project remains on time and within expected budget parameters. Whether one chooses to dip one's toe in our new pool or not, this project is about community building. It will ensure that West Parry Sound continues to be a vibrant and healthy community, a community that attracts families of all ages, a community that may realize its full potential. To this end, I sincerely hope that all of our municipal partners will honor the agreements that have previously been entered into in good faith. I wish you all success in the future and look forward to following your progress as we move towards the official opening of the West Parry Sound Recreation and Culture Center in 2026. This concludes my remarks. And that takes us to, I'm sorry, got carried away. Item 3.2, which is the audited financial statements. I believe, Ms. Phillips, that you will give us an overview and introduce our guests.
Hello, thank you. So a bit of a quick overview. The 2023 draft financial statements have been provided for the board's approval, as well as a quote for service for the 2024 audit. At the time of the financial statements, the project was just getting underway with project management, design, and architecture costs, and only one pre-construction invoice had been paid at the time. 1.7 million had been incurred for the capital project to date. Interest earnings of 350,000 helped to fund operating expenditures within the year. Glenn Ventricek and Heather Mason of BDO are here to deliver their independent audit report and answer any questions you may have. So thank you for coming.
Awesome. Thank you, Stephanie. Can everyone hear me okay? Perfect. Awesome. So I'm just going to get started with going through the final report, which will essentially summarize the results of our audit. And then I'll pass it to Glenn to go through, do a high-level overview of the financial statement. So I'm just going to share my screen here. Okay. Perfect. So I'm just going to run through a couple of slides. Again, so this report will look very similar to prior years. We just want to highlight a couple key points from the audit. So I'm going to start with page 7. So page 7, we have materiality. So this year for for the year end ending December 31st, 2023, materiality was set at 165,000. So we use materiality for a couple different things throughout our audit. One, we use it to assess unadjusted misstatements to make sure that they're individually or in aggregate, they don't exceed that materiality threshold. So we're in order for us to issue a clean opinion. And secondly, we use it to determine what transactions and balances that we test, since we don't test every single transaction that flows through the organization. Overall status of the audit, so slide 8. So these are just a couple housekeeping items that we need to finish before we can finalize the financial statements. So one is topping up our subsequent events procedures to the report date, which we're expected to be tomorrow. We also require the receipt of the signed management representation letter and adjusting entries back, which we'll send to Stephanie this evening or first thing tomorrow once council approves the draft audited financial statements tonight. Slide 9 goes through the audit findings. So these are different, these are areas in our audit where there's more significant risk in the file. So we tend to perform additional audit procedures just due to the increased risk of material misstatement. So the first one you'll notice there, management override of controls. So this is a risk that we raise in all of our audit files. And that's just given management being in position that they are in, there's an increased risk of them overriding potential controls that are in place to potentially be able to manipulate financial records. So to address this risk, we test the appropriateness of journal entries recorded throughout the year to help identify any unusual transactions that might not necessarily appear in the normal course of business. We also maintain professional skepticism throughout the audit, specifically when we're auditing any estimates that involve more management estimates or judgment to help us identify where there could be potential management bias. So all testing was executed as planned there. There weren't any issues noted. The second one here, you'll notice for revenue recognition. So in common with a lot of municipalities, there's the risk of revenue being recognized in the incorrect period in order to present the balanced budget. So to address this risk, we reconcile the grant revenues to the funding agreements to ensure that revenue's been recognized or deferred in the correct periods. Again, all testing in this area was executed and planned accordingly. The third one there, you'll notice for the construction of the center. So given that the center was still in its construction phase at the time of the financial statement date, there is a risk that not all potential material commitments have been disclosed in the financial statements. So to address this, we obtain all the known agreements provided by management and review them and add the necessary disclosures in the financial statement notes, which you'll see in the financial statements when Glenn gets in to present them. And just going to slide 10. So internal control matters. So there weren't any significant deficiencies noted as a result of our audit to report to today. The slide 11 just goes through the unadjusted differences. So these are items that we haven't adjusted for and that aren't reflected in the financial statements. So you can see that the total aggregate unadjusted items down at the bottom are well below that materiality threshold that we saw on slide 7 of 165,000. The next couple slides are just other communications that were required and kind of go through our audit process and additional our audit quality processes, and then additional links that are just touch on some of the trends that we're seeing in the industry. So I'm just going to skip through those. The appendices just include our independent auditor's report and representation letter. So the representation letter will be sending to Stephanie, and the independent auditor's report we'll get to once we get through the financial statements. Does anyone have any questions on the final report before moving on to the financial statements?
I think we're good to go. Thank you.
Okay, perfect. Before I jump in the statements, I'm just going to ask the council if they're aware of any suspected or alleged fraud during the period. So if you guys can just shake your heads yes or no. Hopefully it's no at this point in the audit, because it usually does, it will impact our audit. So I'm seeing no, which is good. Perfect. Awesome. All right. So I'm going to move next to the draft financial statements. Can everyone still see my screen okay? Yeah, perfect. All right. Okay, so starting on page 1, we have our draft auditor's report, which the most important section of this report is our opinion at the very start of the report, which you can see that we've issued a clean audit opinion. We've also found the records and the books of the organization to be all in good order. There's been no changes to the auditor's report in the current year from last year. On page 3, you have the statement of financial position. So as you can see, as Stephanie mentioned, so these numbers are presented, they're historical amounts as presented as of December 31st, 2023, which is important to remember because there's been a bit of time that's lapsed since then. So as of that time, you can see that the majority of the organization's financial assets was made up of primarily cash and accounts receivable. So that cash is really resulting from those municipal contributions that were received, consistent with the agreement. And the accounts receivable that you see there is what's owed from the Canadian Infrastructure Grant as of December 31st, 2023. We then have the current liabilities of just under 160,000, which results in net financial assets of just under 8.3 million. Just below that, you have the non-financial assets, so the capital assets and the prepaid expenses. So obviously with the construction moving forward, you'll see that increase in tangible capital asset line of just under 1.8 million. And then at the bottom line, you can see that the accumulated surplus is just sitting over 10 million at the end of the year. So overall, quite significant increases from last year, just with last year being the first year that the center was in construction. So again, these numbers are expected to increase as the years move forward. Moving on to page 4. So page 4, the statement of operations and accumulated surplus. So again, as previously mentioned, the municipal contributions you can see make up the majority of the revenue at just over 6.6 million, with second coming in as the Canadian Infrastructure Grant just below that. And then, of course, the interest income that is currently being earned on that cash balance. So overall revenues are just sitting above under 8.2 million compared to last year of 1.8. Expenses have stayed relatively consistent with prior year. There's, of course, additional advertising and promotional going on and additional professional fees. Keep in mind that some of the professional fees as well that relate to the construction of the build are recognized up in the tangible capital asset. So those aren't necessarily reflected in the expense line items here. So overall, the annual surplus for the 2023 year end was just over 8 million, resulting in the accumulated surplus at the end of the year of just over 10 million that we saw on the previous page. Does anyone have any questions on the statement of financial position or operation so far? No? Perfect. Okay. The statement of cash flows, again, I'm not going to touch on this too much, just the increase in cash is really a result in the surplus in the year, which is, again, really stemming from those municipal contributions and the infrastructure grant. Page 7 is the start of the financial statement notes. Page 1 is the significant accounting policies, which go down to the end of page 8. There's been no changes in significant accounting policies in the current year. Page 9 has note 2 and note 3 in. So note 2, you'll notice the assets are still under construction. So these haven't been started to amortize. So these assets won't start amortizing until when they become in use, when the center's up and running. And then note 3, as discussed in the final report, you can see the list of commitments that the center is obligated to pay off balance sheet amounts for future contracts relating to the construction of the center itself. Okay, and then note 10 is just the accumulated surplus breakdown as well as the financial instrument risk. And then note 6, we have a subsequent event note, which is just in relation to the non-interest bearing loan agreement that was entered into with the town of Parry Sound. And that brings me to the end of the financial statements. Does anyone have any questions?
Good, thank you.
No? Perfect. I think Glenn's on. Glenn, do you have any final remarks?
No, thank you for the report.
Perfect. And I will, sorry, just before too, I'd also like to take the time to thank Stephanie as well for all of her hard work and efforts throughout the audit process as always. So we always receive the full support and cooperation from her. So just a huge thank you to Stephanie.
Thank you, and we echo those comments as well. Thank you for joining us this evening. We have a resolution before us that the 2023 audited financial statements be approved substantially in the form attached, and that the fee of $7,250 for 2024 audit service be approved. May I have a mover? Mover by Mayor McGarvey, seconded by Councillor Fellner. Any discussion? All in favor? Opposed, if any? That is carried. Thank you very much.
Awesome. All right. Thanks, everyone.
And item 3.3 is our monthly financial reports. And Ms. Phillips, are you able to carry on?
Yes, for sure. Through the chair. So the April 30th, 2025 financial statements, the balance sheet shows the cash balance is approximately 3.37 million at the end of April. 2.4 million is expected in May from ISIP grant funding. 14.1 million approximately has been recorded in work in progress towards capital works to date. The statement of operations, 190,000 received for matching donations for our Make a Splash campaign, $18,278 in other fundraising donations, and 76,000 in sponsorship naming rights have been received to date. Year to date, $1,187 in bank charges and $11,915 in legal costs are reflected. Funds on hand are earning interest of $36,855 year to date. Some audit costs, annual website costs, and other minor promotional costs are reflected in the statements. As of April, the fundraising surplus from beginning to date is $869,467. The cash balance is estimated at 4.2 million following payment of progress certificate 9 and receipt of claim 6 from ISIP grant funding. The cash projection identifies 2.63 million is expected to be invoiced for April and May. I've been advised by the Bank of Nova Scotia that the operating line of credit has been set up and minor account positioning is required to get things going, but that should be set up within the next few days, and I'll be working on setting up the return of temporary cash flow monies provided by the partners in the next week or so. It's very shortly. And that's the monthly statements. If there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer those.
Thank you. Any questions with respect to the April 30th financial reports? Seeing none, the motion is that the April 30th, 2025 financial reports be received for information. May I have a mover? Moved by Councillor Dubrow, seconded by Councillor Lundy. Any comments, questions? All in favor? Opposed, if any? That is carried. Thank you very much, Ms. Phillips. Item 3.4 is the project and budget update. And I believe that Mr. Inwood, who is joining us online, and as is Mr. Homewood, will take us through the report that is submitted by the steering committee. Please go ahead, Mr. Inwood.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, and happy to continue with the really positive news of what's happening on site, as Mr. Homewood will walk you through. The construction continues to forge forward with major milestones being achieved on a routine basis, and as noted, continues to be on budget. You'll hear from Mr. Homewood on a challenge that we've been faced, that's faced the project in the last month. And there's nothing better than when you're working with a contractor who calls you up and says, we've got a problem and we've solved it already. So I'm happy to let Mr. Homewood walk through his presentation, including an update on the significant challenge around the pool and how it's been resolved. So I will pass it off to Mr. Homewood.
Thank you, Mr. Homewood. Please go ahead. Mr. Homewood, is there a chance that you may be on mute, sir? Mr. Homewood, are you able to hear us? Just hold on for a second until we can get that worked out. I suspect that Mr. Homewood is just going to reboot. Might I suggest, in the interest of time, that we move on to the next agenda item? It should not take us long, and then we'll go back to 3.4 as soon as Mr. Homewood joins us. Is that agreeable to people? Okay, thank you. So item 3.5 is the election of a chair and a vice chair. As the terms of the chair and vice chair have expired, we're opening the floor for nominations, firstly to the chair, and then we'll open the floor for the nominations for the vice chair. So may I ask, first of all, are there any nominations for the position of chair? Councillor Fellner. Thank you. Mayor Robinson, do you allow your name to stand for? Thank you. Are there any other nominations for the position of chair? Councillor Lundy? And I certainly do appreciate the vote of confidence from yourself and from our colleagues in the archipelago. I think that it's been an honor for me to serve in this capacity, and I think what's required to get this project over the finish line, I have no concerns that it won't, is to have somebody with the mandate of the ratepayers, and so I politely decline. Thank you. Are there any other nominations for the position of chair? Councillor Dubrow.
Yeah. As I'll echo what Councillor Lundy has stated here, that having a non-political person involved in the position of chair, I think is a very good thing that has happened in the past. And that being said, I don't know that we've had adequate time to even canvass for non-political people. And I'm not sure if that can be put off or if we have to deal with that. But I was hoping yourself would be running again. Thank you.
Thank you for those comments. Are there any other nominations for the position of chair? I believe just because of the motion, the report has been submitted in duly with the agenda, and according with to our process. So I'm going to carry out or proceed with the motion, and that is that Mayor Robinson of the municipality of McDougall be appointed as chair of the board effective May 15th, 2025 for a term ending up to and including November 14th, 2026. And may I have a mover and a seconder for that resolution? Moved by Councillor Lundy, seconded by Councillor Fellner. All in favor? Opposed, if any? And that is carried. Thank you very much. And congratulations, Mayor Robinson. Thank you for. Thank you. It's been a pleasure. Councillor Fellner.
You gotta press the one on the front too. Once the one's in on the side, then press the one on the front.
The previous board members who have spent a lot of time and put a lot of effort in this shows the remarkable progress that we've got to date. I think we well satisfied that the facility is built, you know, first rate and not and your contribution to it is not, you know, was not the bigger one. See, fantastic, but thank you.
Thank you very much. As I said, it's been a distinct honor and a pleasure. I appreciate your confidence. Mayor McGarvey.
Chair Sanderson, I'd also like to echo those sentiments that have been sent your way. I certainly appreciate what you've done and that the community does as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The next part of our election is for that of the position of vice chair. And may I ask for nominations for the position of vice chair? Mayor Robinson. Thank you very much. Mayor McGarvey, do you allow your name to stand?
I do.
Thank you. Are there any other nominations for the position of vice chair? Are there any other nominations for the position of vice chair? Now, once last, are there any other nominations for the position of vice chair? Then I would ask for a resolution that Mayor Jamie McGarvey be appointed as vice chair of the board effective May 15th, 2025 for a term up to and ending November 14th, 2026. All in favor? I'm sorry, I should. Oh, Councillor Fellner, moved by and seconded by Councillor Dubrow. Thank you very much. And all in favor? That is carried. Thank you very much and congratulations, Mayor McGarvey. So if you'll indulge me for the rest of this meeting and then you can assume your responsibilities officially at midnight, 1 minute past midnight this evening. So again, thank you for the honor and the privilege of being associated with this august group. Are we ready? Do we have Mr. Homeward back online? Okay,
Yeah.
Mr. Homeward, are you ready to proceed, please?
Yeah, can you hear me now?
We sure can. Thank you very much.
All right, technology. Okay. I'll just share my screen again. Okay, so we'll walk through the presentation this evening. So a very similar format with a couple small tweaks. So we'll talk the short-term schedule, just kind of what the activity is happening right now with a small look ahead, the overall project schedule, and an update on the swimming pool, and a budget update. So in terms of the short-term schedule, the insulated metal panels, so that's the cladding and the exterior wall assembly that is around, let's call it the back of house or the gymnasium area, is now complete. The roofing, so all the roofing material is complete on the high roof. The subframing for the cladding, so the rest of the exterior wall cladding is underway. The main roof, so we'll call it the low roof, is probably about 75% complete. That'll be finished up in the next couple weeks. The interior underground plumbing work has started. The primary electrical duct bank is complete, and the masonry and glazing will be starting in June. In terms of the overall project schedule, as mentioned, the glazing will start in June. The spray foam insulation and the exterior cladding will be starting in sometime in June and July. The swimming pool installation, which I'll touch on after this slide, is delayed slightly, and we'll talk about that a little bit further. The base coat of asphalt is still scheduled for October, with the target completion now looking at late May 2026. So with the swimming pool, something that's come up, and I'm sure everyone knows all about what's happening with our one neighbor to the south is implemented tariffs. This has a direct implication on this specific project because the Natare swimming pool is a stainless steel pool that's actually fabricated in Indiana in the United States. Because the Natare pools are becoming much more prevalent and popular in Canada, Natare has been working on forming a branch called Natare Canada. Because of the timing of this project, we've helped the pool supplier and the manufacturer to kind of expedite that process, and we're now able to fabricate the pool. We found a fabricator here in Ontario. It's actually in Guelph, Ontario, that's going to be fabricating the pool under the Natare Canada division. The advantage of that is that we were going to be hit with a sizable tariff. It was probably, they were saying it was upwards in the 600,000 range, but now we're able to fabricate the pool in Canada. It will have no impact on the contract price.
Sorry, Mr. Homeward, you're cutting in and out.
Yep.
You're mostly audible, not right now.
Okay. So it will have no impact on the current contract price. The quality is exactly the same, and no issues in terms of no impact on the warranty. By doing that, it will give us approximately a 2-month delay on the actual delivery of the swimming pool. But what that is we did have a little bit of slack built into the schedule for the swimming pool. So we're seeing it may have an impact of approximately 3 to 4 weeks on the overall project schedule. But the advantage is we're now getting a pool that's manufactured here in Canada, and we're not going to get hit by the tariffs. So all in all, in my opinion, a great strategy. In terms of the overall project budget, there really isn't much in terms of change since the original report of December 11th. We're now at 95% or 97% of the total hard costs are now tendered. The landscaping will be finalized later in June. So now we have the asphalt and the curbs and sidewalks tendered and miscellaneous metal. The overall project budget is currently still at the 39.5 million. The one thing that I'd like to just touch base on that isn't represented in the bullet points on this slide is the contingency. So built into the construction budget, we do have a construction contingency just to cover any unforeseen issues or any potential changes that might arise during construction. We initially were starting at about 1.2 million in contingency at the start of construction. We're now sitting at approximately 997,000 in the contingency. So from this point going forward, from the next meeting on, I'll be updating information on the contingency and where we're at as well as the overall project budget. Just a couple images here. You can see this is the main roof. This is actually the roof over top of the swimming pool. Here's an image of the some of the underground work that's happening for the plumbing within the facility. This is an image just basically right out front. It's going to be very close to where the entrance is, and we have a ramp up here that allows us to get temporary machinery and equipment into the swimming pool area. On the left, that's the main entrance canopy, looking out towards the street, and on the right-hand side is the electrical duct bank going in. All right, and that's concludes the presentation for this evening.
Thank you, Mr. Homewood. Mayor McGarvey has a question.
Mr. Homewood, so can we say then that this Natari pool is the very first Canadian-made pool in Canada?
Yes, yes, it is. Yep, they've teamed up with a specialty fabrication facility that specializes in stainless steel, both food grade and industrial. So it's a fantastic, I guess, agreement with a good fabricator. So yes, it'll be the first Natari pool that's fabricated in Canada.
Nice, very good, thank you.
You're welcome.
Mayor Robinson.
Thank you, Chair Sanderson. It's wonderful when someone finds a problem and gives you the solution at the same time. So that was amazing that you were able to come up with a Canadian manufacturer, because round numbers, I think the Natari pool was going to be around $4 million in costs. So you had a 25% tariff to that. So that's a pretty big hit to our budget. So congratulations on doing the investigative work and coming up with that solution. And I'd just like to say, thanks, Mr. Hunt and I, with the permission of your site supervisor, Nate, we were able to do a tour yesterday of the site. And I'll just say it looks big from the street, but it's true a large and ongoing complex facility once you get inside and get looking at it. And it's one of my previous lives working in construction, it's one of the cleanest and neatest construction sites that I've come across in terms of your organizational abilities. And so it's very pleased that I was given that opportunity, and just pass along my thanks to, not sure Nate's last name, but he certainly was very knowledgeable in terms of asking our questions and very hospitable in terms of entertaining us in the middle of a work day. So thank you very much for that.
Well, that's great, and I'll definitely pass that along to him.
Thank you for those comments, and it's exciting to see the pictures that are presented in this evening's report. Momentum is building, and that will help our fundraisers to continue to get behind us as well. So that's great. Thank you.
I also have a picture as the first mayor in the pool.
We'll reflect that in the minutes. Are there any further questions for Mr. Homewood or Mr. Inwood? Seeing none, then may I have a mover and a seconder that the board receive the May 14th, 2025 project budget update for information purposes. Moved by Councillor Fellner, seconded by Mayor Robinson. All in favor? Opposed, if any? And that's carried. Thank you very much, Mr. Homewood. And this brings us to our fundraising report, item 3.6. Mayor McDermott, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. 3.7, I believe, has been moved to closed. So just based on the financial report as presented by Stephanie, we're closing in on $2 million, and we have discussions that'll have us over 2 million by next month. So it's been slower and smaller, but things are coming along better now that there's a building to see. I mentioned at the last meeting that we were in discussions with Ball Construction about a hard hat party. I can say that Jason Ball is pushing us harder than we're pushing him. He's very excited of being a host of that. And Libby Walker has agreed to be the chair of that event. It'll be March, April of next year, major fundraising event, but it is dependent on when Ball can get the safety of the building secured for a large number of people. But I am anticipating that it'll be a big event, and Ball Construction and maybe Natari will be big supporters of it. So keep that in your books. We'll give you a firm date as soon as we can. It is going better now, and I'm anticipating that some pretty big donors that are seasonal residents will be coming to the table over the next summer. So
It's very exciting. Thank you for
questions?
that report. Any questions for Mayor McDonald? Thank you very much. Item 3.7, the donor list. We have received information from our legal counsel that this agenda item needs to be moved into closed meeting due to solicitor client privilege information that is received within. So we will move forward with that. And just prior to adjourning this open session, as we prepare to move to the closed session, I would ask if there's any items that we need to add to the closed agenda for this evening. And if not, may I have a mover and a seconder for the closed agenda? Moved by Mayor Robinson, seconded by Councillor Dubrow, that pursuant to section 239, paragraph 2 and 3 of the Municipal Act, Statutes of Ontario 2001, Chapter 25, as amended, the West Parry Sound Recreation and Culture Center Board moves to meeting closed to the public in order to address matters pertaining to item F, advice that is subject to solicitor-client privilege, including communications necessary for that purpose, that being the donor list, and item K, a position, plan, procedure, criteria, or instruction to be applied to any negotiations carried on or to be carried on or by on behalf of the municipality or local board, that being the YMCA operating agreement, as well as naming rights and sponsors. All in favor? Opposed, if any? Thank you very much. And we are in closed.